Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you about difficult vocabulary. So let's see what we know and what we remember. Let's plug our brains in, keep them young, and have a little bit of fun, shall we? Let's start with question number 1. What is the meaning of reprobate? Pertaining to taxes, a wicked person, or to reproduce something? The meaning of reprobate. That's a wicked person. For example, that reprobate got joy out of our misery. Let's try another one. What does the word chaotic mean? Or quixotic? Unrealistic and impractical? A curious person? Or to be joyous? Quixotic. That means unrealistic and impractical. For example, my boss gave me the most quixotic project to complete in just an hour. The word promulgate means creative new idea, to obtain something, or to proclaim, usually relating to law. Promulgate. And that means the judge promulgated his official ruling, to proclaim, usually relating to law. When someone plaudits the idea, it means discredits, or praise and approval, or tests it out. Plaudits the idea. Praise and approval. The executives plaudit my ideas for the merger. To be officious means, does that mean to be indifferent, to be accepting, or to be annoyingly assertive? Officious. That means annoyingly assertive. That new intern was being awfully officious for her first day. When someone is being mawkish, that means, are they being overly emotional? Are they being shy? Or are they being unassuming? Mawkish. That means overly emotional. That new couple is still in a mawkish phase. The meaning of knell is avoid doing work, to be avoided, or the sound of a funeral bell ringing. The meaning of knell is the sound of a funeral bell ringing. As the funeral procession approached the church, they sounded the death knell. The court ordered an injunction. Injunction means the court mandated to see something, the court sent something to appeals, or the court said that trial wasn't possible. Court ordered an injunction. That means the court mandated something stop. What does it mean if someone says you are fatuous? They mean you're foolish? They mean you're smart? Or do they mean you're overweight? If you are fatuous, that means you are foolish. Your points during our argument were just fatuous. If the old manuscripts are extant, what does this mean? They are relevant to our culture? They're destroyed and extinct? Or are they still existing? Extant manuscripts are still existing. Though they are centuries old, the manuscripts are extant. Gentacular means pertaining to anything spectacular, breakfast, or humans. Gentacular. That means breakfast. Pancakes are the perfect gentacular meal. I'm going to use that tomorrow morning. Vicissitudes means a change of circumstance, usually exciting and new, abrupt, or unwelcome and unpleasant. Vicissitudes. Unwelcome and unpleasant. The vicissitudes of life affected him negatively. What is meldrop? A drop of mucus coming out of a nose? To be in a melancholy state, or a type of alcoholic drink. A meldrop. A drop of mucus coming out of a nose. As he started crying, the meldrop fell. What is pareidolia? The motion of water? To see faces in random patterns or a complex subject. To see faces in random patterns. For example, those clouds form somewhat of a pareidolia. To extol someone would be to praise enthusiastically, or scold, or maybe ban a person from entering. To extol. That means to praise enthusiastically. The teacher extolled his student for his comprehensive report. My stomach is so distended. It's another way of saying, I've lost weight. Or maybe, my stomach is injured. Or maybe my stomach is expanded. My stomach expanded. A loud and boisterous laugh is called is it a kerfuffle? Is it a guffaw? Or is it a bumbershoot? That would be a guffaw. We guffawed during the entire comedy show. What word means helpful or beneficial? Riposte, cattywampus, or boon? Helpful or beneficial? That would be a boon. For example, you saw it. Which means to laugh at scornfully or make fun of, to deride, to lionize, or to mélange. To laugh at scornfully or make fun of. Deride. When I fell down the stairs, he derided at my misfortune. A conflagration is a penalty in sports, or is it a fire that destroys a lot of land, or is it a grouping of people? A conflagration. A fire that destroys a lot of land. The conflagration raged through the forest for days. To be in the form of letters is paucity, or is it zeugma, or is it epistolary? In the form of letters. Well, that would be epistolary. While he was overseas, they had an epistolary relationship. Which word means to deal with beforehand? Forecastle, forestall, or forecheck? To deal with beforehand. And that word would be forestall. To forestall the issue, we discussed a plan of action. True or false? Eschew means to avoid because you morally do not think it is correct. Eschew. And that would be true. That's what eschew means. To be a hapless person, you are you creative or thankful or unlucky? If you're a hapless person. If you're hapless, you're unlucky. The hapless gambler could not win a hand. Another word for friendly and good-natured is affable, Puerto Rico, or Alaska, if you're friendly or good-natured. You are affable. I met her. She's affable and seems to be a good friend. Which word means a gentle breeze? Insipid, zephyr, or pathos? And that word would be zephyr. The zephyr coming off the water was peaceful. If something is called commodious, this means spacious, creating an excess of noise, or harmful to others. Spacious. The new apartment is so commodious. When becoming attached to or support a cause, you are you propagated, repleted, or espoused? You would be espoused. She became espoused in the charity's mission. The act of denying something when you truly want it is called renunciation, sophomoric, or exismus. Exismus. Even though you said you didn't want a gift, we saw through your exismus. Another word for a ruler who leads in an oppressive way is he staid, is he a despot, or a zenith? A ruler who leads in an oppressive way is a despot. The despot created ridiculous laws for the public. If you're jumping around excitedly, you are you cavorting? Are you relishing? Or are you quelling? If you're jumping around excitedly, you are cavorting. She cavorted at her favorite band's concert for the whole set. A hodgepodge of items means carefully curated, expensive grouping, or unique mixture. A hodgepodge. That means a unique mixture. The old home had a hodgepodge of items from over the years. If you chide someone, you are you scolding them? Or are you gossiping with them? Or are you in coots with them? If you chide someone. That means you're scolding them. The teacher chided the student for talking during a test. True or false? Exigent means something you can take your time with. If it is exigent. And that would be false. Exigent means urgent. A slang term used in the late 1700s, what is A jolix, a happy person, an overweight person, or a court jester. A jolix is an overweight person. After eating all of this delicious food, I fear I am a jolix. To be new and not fully developed yet is inchoate, potable, or fecund, or fecund, or inchoate, potable, or fecund. That would be inchoate. The young hire was judged for being inchoate. A wodge is a lumper wad, a dumb person, or an idea. A wodge. Well, that would be a lumper wad. He cut such a wodge of cake, he barely left enough for the rest of us. Engender is another word for, is it to assign blame, to make more intense, or to bring about or develop? Engender. That means to bring about or develop. They engendered a debate once the law was passed. If something is inherently old-fashioned and is out of place in a specific time period, is it diffident, an epitome, or an anachronism? If it's inherently old-fashioned, out of place, that would be an anachronism. In the modern home, the anachronism was the grandfather clock in the living room. To delay or procrastinate would be frenetic, dilatory, or jubilant. To delay or procrastinate is dilatory. I've seen the professor is dilatory at grading our papers. What does the word cloying mean? Overly sweet or sentimental, begging and pleading, or in the act of deceiving? Cloying. Cloying means overly sweet or sentimental. Their vows to each other were rather cloying. If someone is being restive, this means resistant and stubborn, overtired and in need of sleep, or poor, lacking money. If they're being restive, that means they're resistant and stubborn. My son was being quite restive when I told him that it's time for bed. True or false? If someone is loudly urging or encouraging someone to do something, this could be called an exhortation. Is that true or is that false? That's true. Arboreal means living in filth, living in contention, or living among trees. Arboreal. That means trees. The arboreal animals scurried up the trunk. Or my arboreal neighborhood. A cobbler is a fruit-filled dessert pastry, but it also means to hit someone, or a person who fixes shoes, or a miserable person. A cobbler is a person who fixes shoes. My shoe buckle broke, so I brought it to the cobbler. The word for alleviate grief or pain is efface, mores, or assuage? To alleviate grief or pain, the word is assuage. After his mother passed, I tried my best to assuage his grief. If you're in a state of shock, you can also say are you bumfuzzled, destitute, or cajoled? A state of shock. Well, you could say you're bumfuzzled. When I heard of the news, I was bumfuzzled by the story. Puerile behavior means, is it childish, sophisticated, or anxious? If something is puerile, that means childish. She acted so puerile for someone who's in her 40s. Another word for a mixture of noises is it vacuous? Is it sycophant? Or is it a cacophony? That would be a cacophony of noises. At the amusement park, there were a cacophony of joyous sounds. The word raise means to interfere, or giving compliments, or to tear down or demolish. Raise. That means to tear down or demolish. Let's see. What does it mean when someone can't think or feel properly? Does that mean a tome? Is that to stupefy, or is it to profligate? When someone can't think or feel properly, that is to stupefy. When the tornado hit, they were stupefied with fear. To lower in position or degrade would be to, is that abase, propagate, or refute? That is to abase. After the incident, he felt so bad, he abased himself. The girl was so pert, everyone was drawn to her. What does the word pert mean in this sentence? Attractively confident, mysterious, or quiet? That means attractively confident. If you're being neglectful or careless, you might be, are you meager, or putrid, or remiss? If you're being neglectful or careless, you might be remiss. I would be remiss if I did not mention those details. If you take the longer roundabout route, that is called, is it conciliate, circuitous, or apex? You'd be taking a circuitous route. It was such a nice day, we took the circuitous path around the park. To show interest or concern is another way of saying being solicitous, to equivocate, or to obfuscate. To show interest or concern. Well, that would be being solicitous. The firefighter was solicitous when he showed up to the scene. The act of rejecting something is that being laconic, forlorn, or is that an abnegation? The act of rejecting something, that would be an abnegation. Her abnegation of all junk food was starting to make a difference in her health. An interlocutor is someone who takes part in conversation, has a good sense of direction, or one who interferes during crisis. An interlocutor. That would be someone who takes part in conversation. After the argument, she was the interlocutor between her parents. What is another word for not telling the truth or being insincere? Chork, mendacious, or cavil? Not telling the truth or being insincere is mendacious. The mendacious story angered me. When someone has a lot of power and they do not have to follow the rules, they are called are they a nascent, a caterwaul, or a potentate? A lot of power, don't have to follow the rules, that's a potentate. The potentate created an unwelcoming environment for his aides. The word spurious means, does it mean to run away? Does it mean to impulsively do something? Or do something not genuine or authentic? Spurious means not genuine or authentic. The interaction with the celebrity was extremely spurious and forced. When someone is misrepresented to damage their reputation, that is called is it a munificent? Is it a calumny? Or is it an incorporeal? To misrepresent or damage a reputation, that is a calumny. The calumny against him was evident after he pleaded not guilty. The final outcome of a situation is it an upshot? Is it a syzygy? Or is it a sanguine? The final outcome of a situation is that would be an upshot. After years of cheating, the upshot was she finally left him. What does it mean to vituperate someone? To get well after surgery? To praise and applaud? Or to strongly insult? To vituperate. That means to strongly insult. I felt bad how strongly they vituperated him. Which word means the act of hissing? Vex, sibilant, or kerfuffle? The act of hissing. That would be sibilant. The animal's sibilant sounds made the child run away. The word winsome means attractive or appealing, having a lot of success, or relating to the wind. Winsome. If one is winsome, they are attractive or appealing. The pop star had a winsome personality, so his success was not a surprise. When someone is maudlin, this means to ridicule someone, boredom, or weakly emotional or sentimental. Maudlin, weakly emotional or sentimental. She was maudlin during her award acceptance speech. Being severe or stern is another way of saying abaft, festoon, or dour. Severe or stern. Well, that's another way of saying dour. Scolding them was a bit dour. Fill in the blank with the correct word. He is an blank smoker, an inveterate smoker, a demagogue smoker, or an incumbent smoker. He is an inveterate smoker. Inveterate means a long-standing habit or activity. Inveterate. To carouse means, does it mean to manipulate, to wrangle in a group, or enjoying alcohol with others and being lively? To carouse. That means enjoying alcohol with others and being lively. Everyone at the bar was carousing as we celebrated the team's win. To take umbrage indicates to take offense, to take the high road, or to take an alternative course or an alternate route. To take umbrage. That means to take offense. She took umbrage when he made fun of the place she grew up. Something that is hated or loathed is called incorrigible and anathema, or is it nominal? Hated or loathed is called an anathema. Discussing politics at work is anathema to her. To be very circumspect of something means very observant, generous and giving, or cautious, unwilling to take risk. If one is being circumspect, one is being cautious and unwilling to take risk. He is much too circumspect to go skydiving. What does the phrase fractious children mean? Irritable and bad-tempered children, playful and fun children, or well-behaved children? If they're fractious children, what does that mean? It means irritable and bad-tempered. The fractious children can't even get through a game. A wickedness or evil doing is another way to say pathos, iniquity, or saccharine. Wickedness or evil doing. That's another way to say iniquity. The iniquity in the act was cruel. The word blandishment means, is that an action that flatters or coaxes? Is that the act of berating, or is that trendy clothing? Blandishment. An action that flatters or coaxes. The blandishments convinced him to take the job. Another way of saying a sudden change of mood is that incendiary? Is it pellucid? Or is it mercurial? A sudden change of mood. That is something mercurial. She was mercurial. We never knew what mood she was in. The word noisome means very noisy and loud, offensive smell, or excited or ecstatic, or excited and ecstatic. Noisome. That means an offensive smell. The garbage dump gave off a noisome smell. Another way to say easily and frequently changed is proclivity, probity, or protean. Easily and frequently changed is, well, that would be protean. For example, the protean subject was hard to teach because of the constant fluctuations. Which word means positive, especially during a difficult situation? Is that something sanguine, procure, or utopia? That would be something sanguine. Even after a few rejections, he was sanguine about the future. The word veracity means truth and accuracy, very large and monstrous, or the act of withering away. Veracity. That means truth and accuracy. Way to double check the veracity of his statements. Which word means cheerful readiness and eagerness to respond? Is that something didactic, astute, or alacrity? Cheerful readiness and eagerness to respond. That refers to alacrity. Each guest responded with alacrity to the long-anticipated party. Alacrity. Which word means settled sedateness? Languid, facile, or staid? Settled sedateness. That is something staid. His staid image was ruined once they caught him out partying every week. The term mollify means to soothe anger and intensity, to diversify, to make different, or is it to create a sense of urgency? To mollify. That means to soothe in anger and intensity. The senator mollified the situation by offering solutions. When something appears true, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, is somnolent, ostensible, or palliate. That would be ostensible. The ostensible reason for him missing the trip was that he was sick, but we think he did not want to come. The word toady implies giving compliments to gain favors, animal-like or having toad-like skin, or lying or being sneaky. What does the word toady imply? Giving compliments to gain favors. At work, no one likes a toady. If something has been marked off clearly, it has been, has it been relegated, transmuted, or circumscribed? If something has been marked off clearly, it has been circumscribed. Since my dog ran away once, I circumscribed the property. What does the word pejorative mean? Relegated, renegated, or to show disapproval? Pejorative. Well, a pejorative means to show disapproval. His pejorative tone made me upset. The word largesse means generosity or giving money, something large in nature, or to progress. Largesse. That means generosity or giving money. After his accident, he saw the largesse of his friends as they helped him recover. Which word means to shiver or tremble? Surmise, dither, or patrizate? To shiver or tremble. That means dither. She got into a dither as she waited to hear the results. A morass is a muddy ground, but it can also be used to say a complicated situation, an outcast or outsider, or a noble person or royalty. A morass. That is a complicated situation. The sensationalized story became lost in a morass. of details. What is another way of saying you have an abundance of something? You have a debauchate, a frivol, or a plenitude. If you have an abundance of something, you have a plenitude of something. At the buffet, there was a plenitude of entrees and desserts. What does the word prosaic mean? Ordinary or normal? The act of proving a point? Or relating to art? If it is prosaic, what is it? That would be ordinary or normal. My routine is getting so prosaic, I need to change something. Which word means long-standing bitterness or resentment? Haughty, execrable, or rancor? And the word we're looking for is rancor. The siblings had years of rancor between them. What does it mean when something is concomitant? Committing time and devoting, naturally accompanying or associated, or having conflicting opinions. Concomitant. That means naturally accompanying or associating. With our concomitant timeline, we can complete the project quickly. For example, if you are flouting the rules, this means you're disregarding the rules, you're following rules blindly, or you're creating the rules. If you are flouting the rules, that means you are disregarding them. I gave the student detention because he was completely flouting the rules. Obfuscate is used when something has become unclear, but it also means to bewilder, to throw away, or to ostracize or ignore. Obfuscate. That means to bewilder. It would obfuscate people if mermaids were real. To wallow means staying in an emotional state, but it also means, does it mean to drown in water, to lie or roll around in mud, or the act of gulping? To wallow. That means to lie or roll around. At the zoo, we saw the hippo wallowing in the muddy waters. If you are independent-minded, you might be called a colossus, a boon, or might they call you a maverick? If you're independent-minded, you'd be a maverick. He was always a maverick, never caring what anyone thought of him. And now, number 100. The word tortuous means tormenting or punishment, full of twists and turns, or relating to tortoises. Tortuous. That means full of twists and turns. The hike was supposed to be difficult, but it was more tortuous than I expected. And that's it. That's question 100. Thank you for playing Quiz Time. Don't forget to leave your score in the comments, please. Like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any quiz times when they come out. Again, thanks for playing, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.